Today, we're taking a journey to one of the most powerful and most dangerous places on the entire planet to tell the story of black gold. We're going to follow the incredible high-stakes path of crude oil, the stuff that literally powers our world, from way down deep beneath the ocean all the way to a massive tanker ship. But really, just stop and think about that for a second. The gas in your car, the stuff that heats your house, even the plastic in the phone you might be holding, it all has a starting point. But what is it? Where does it come from? Well, the answer is probably not what you'd expect. It begins right here. A city made of steel, constantly getting battered by massive waves and winds that could level a small town, all in the middle of the ocean. This is an offshore oil platform. It's an absolute marvel of engineering, where thousands of people work 24/7 on a single mission to fuel our planet. Alright, so let's get into it. Before you can even think about drilling for oil, you gotta find it first. And that hunt kicks off with these really specialized seismic survey ships. They blast powerful sound waves deep into the seabed. Those waves bounce back off all the different rock layers, kind of like a giant ultrasound for the Earth, creating this incredible 3D map that geologists use to find a potential sweet spot. So you might be asking, why go through all this trouble? Why build these things out in the middle of nowhere? Well, it's because a huge chunk of the world's oil isn't on land. It's trapped in rock, thousands of feet below the ocean floor. And to get to it, engineers had to build these mega structures, these floating cities designed to survive the absolute worst that Mother Nature can throw at them. And you know, these platforms aren't a one-size-fits-all deal. They come in a few different flavors, depending on how deep the water is. You've got your fixed platforms, which are basically skyscrapers bolted right onto the seabed. For deeper water, you have floating platforms, held steady by gigantic anchors. And then there's the FPSO, which is the whole shebang. It's a factory, a warehouse, and a shipping dock all rolled into one massive ship. And get this, the price tag is just staggering. A single platform can run you anywhere from $5 to $10 billion. Some of these things are taller than the Eiffel Tower. It's a colossal gamble, an insane investment built to house hundreds of people and withstand 100-foot waves and Category 5 hurricanes. So what do you get for that multi-billion-dollar investment? Well, you get to start the real action, drilling. And this isn't just digging a hole. No way. This is a super precise, incredibly dangerous operation to punch through thousands of meters of solid rock to hit a specific target deep inside the Earth. The whole process is really an engineering masterpiece. You've got a rotary drill tipped with industrial diamonds, just chewing through solid rock. At the same time, this special fluid, they call it drilling mud, is pumped down. It does a few things. It cools the bit, but more importantly, it controls the insane pressure coming from below. That mud then carries little rock chips back to the surface, which tells the geologists exactly where they are. Once they hit the payload, the whole well is lined with steel and cement to keep it stable. Just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, a single well can go down 5,000 meters. That's a vertical distance taller than some of the highest mountains on the planet. And from one single platform, they can drill up to 40 of these wells, all fanning out in different directions. It's wild. But drilling that deep comes with enormous danger. The number one threat, the absolute worst case scenario, is a blowout. That's an uncontrolled eruption of high-pressure oil and gas that can literally destroy everything. The last line of defense, the ultimate safeguard, is the blowout preventer, or BOP. It's a massive stack of valves that can slam shut in seconds and seal the well if anything goes wrong. So once the well is drilled and the oil starts to flow, the job is still far from over. See, the stuff that comes rushing up from the reservoir isn't that pure black liquid you're probably picturing. Nope. It's a messy, pressurized mix that has to be processed right there on the platform. Because of all that pressure, the oil usually shoots up on its own. But what you get is this raw cocktail of crude oil, natural gas, salt water, sand, and a bunch of other junk. Before that stuff can go anywhere, you have to separate it all out. And the solution is actually pretty simple. It all comes down to basic physics. The mixture gets fed into this huge tank called a three-phase separator. Inside, the flow slows right down and gravity just takes over. The heaviest stuff, the water, sinks straight to the bottom. The crude oil, which is lighter, settles in the middle, and the lightest of all, the natural gas, bubbles up to the top. From there, each part can be piped off. Simple, but effective. Once all that initial processing is done, the purified crude oil is ready to be stored. And the amount we're talking about here is just mind-boggling. A single medium-sized platform can churn out up to 200,000 barrels of crude oil every single day. Okay, so now you've got hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil sitting in the middle of the ocean. What do you do with it? You can't just let it pile up. It has to be stored safely while everyone waits for its ride to shore to arrive. And this is where that ship-like platform we talked about, the FPSO, becomes absolutely critical. It doesn't just drill and process. Its main job is to be a gigantic floating warehouse. It's designed to hold all that processed crude oil in massive internal tanks, keeping it safe and ready for the next step of the journey. And when I say massive, I mean it. A big FSPO can be over 300 meters long. That's like 3 football fields laid end to end, and it can hold up to 2.5 million barrels of oil. And every single tank is monitored 24/7 for temperature, pressure, you name it. The FPSO is nearly full. The oil is ready to go. And then it happens. The moment the entire crew has been working towards. A giant shadow starts to appear on the horizon, getting bigger and booger as it gets closer. The transport is here. This right here is the climax of the entire offshore operation. We're talking about transferring millions of barrels of highly flammable liquid from one massive floating vessel to another, all while they're bobbing in the open ocean. One tiny mistake could lead to an absolute catastrophe. The ship arriving is a VLCC, a very large crude carrier, and it is huge. At up to 330 meters long, it's basically a moving mountain of steel. There's constant radio chatter between the tanker captain and the platform's control room, calculating every little variable. The wind, the current, the speed, everything has to be perfect. Now, connecting these two giants is a slow, painstaking process. Specialist pilots guide the tanker into the perfect spot. Then it takes 4 to 6 hours just to tie the ship down with these thick steel ropes. And then, and only then, is the massive cargo hose connected. Every single system is grounded because a single spark from static electricity would be absolutely disastrous. Once they get the green light, massive 5,000 horsepower pumps roar to life, and for the next 24 to 48 hours, they run non-stop, pumping a constant river of crude oil from the FPSO into the tanker's holds. There's a whole team just watching every gauge and every valve every single second. And then finally, the tanks are full. Paperwork is signed, completing a deal worth billions of dollars. The lines are released, and the giant tanker, now weighed down with the world's energy, slowly turns and starts its long journey to the refinery back on the coast. So the next time you're filling up your car, just take a second to think about this whole incredible journey. That fuel started thousands of meters under an ocean, pulled up by thousands of people living on a steel island. It's really a testament to human ingenuity and risk-taking. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, just how much of our world is built on this amazing and honestly dangerous process.